Hey, it's Ross Payton with Role Playing Public Radio. This is RPPR episode 195. OMG, the OGL. How you doing there, Caleb?
Wow. I am glad to be in this port in the storm of discourse.
Yeah.
It's been a wild couple of weeks, and I just want to be clear. Like, this is like watching a tropical storm hit land from where I'm at now in Missouri.
Yeah.
Like, I could not be more insulated from this. I could not be more grateful for it. Mm-hmm. And holy shit, it is causing some damage over there in third-party publisher land. And I feel terrible for those people. But the other factor of this is that this tropical storm is also hilariously inept and bad at their jobs. So it's really a mix of emotion, like feeling very sorry for some very real hurt that people are going through, and then just like astounded Curb Your Enthusiasm bafflement at like the cause of this particular weather event.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to just be at a table talking about it, staring at Ross's refrigerator. It's comfortingly desensitized.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So yeah, we're talking about the open game license situation with Wizards of the Coast and D&D. If you have been on social media in the last couple of weeks, I'm sure you've heard about it. But if not, we're here to sort of shine a little light on it and our insight into the whole situation. For that, we do have a bit of news.
I just want to say, if you haven't heard about this, you won. And so did we, because we get to tell you about it.
Yes. Yep, exactly. You can't have a war without a loser, and you're welcome. And it's a tie. Yeah. So a bit of news, just our update on the RPPR Patreon. I've started a new bonus podcast series called The Recommendizer, where we give recommendations to the listeners. Bridget and I talked about Signalis and Resident Evil and survival horror and the themes of survival horror and why it's scary and that kind of thing. Episode 1 is out for now, and we'll be doing that as addition to After Hours. After Hours will be coming out soon, where we talk about the lowest rated Call of Cthulhu book, as judged by RPG.net. So it's from 1997. And
hey, so far.
Yeah, so far. Mm-hmm. Actually, Chaosium's been pretty good lately. This is the old Chaosium before they nearly collapsed because of financial mismanagement. So this is like back when Chaosium was kind of a zombie company running. And this is also the 90s. They had graphic design back then with fonts that were unreadable, like White Wolf. They're just ripping off White Wolf. So check out the Patreon for that. Caleb, what's been going on Delta Green Dead channels and your other projects?
We are going through a second test of God's Teeth with a brand new cast that was unexposed to the first version. I am in a version of the 4th complete rewrite of the campaign. So one day Shane will get tired and publish it, and then I'll be in the running for the worst Call of Cthulhu book.
Aw.
Caleb Stokes has joined the battle.
Oh, no.
Maybe we'll be talking about me on a podcast one day in hateful, laughable tones.
Oh, no.
But anyway, it's been entertaining to play and listen to, and people are enjoying it. So that's what's going on at Dead Channels. Heaven on Games is currently on hiatus. It's still there. If you would like to back us, we only charge once we release something. It's not a monthly fee.
Yeah, per item.
But I am currently deep in Red Market 2nd edition. So that is what I am working on there.
Cool. Yeah. Something that we will undoubtedly be podcasting about at some point this year. I'm just going to make that wild, bold prediction.
Yeah. We got to get an in-person game.
Yeah.
It is too many moving parts to do online.
Yeah. I have been looking at larger tables so we can accommodate that kind of thing, and physical tables like in person, because but that is
the old ways.
Yes. We used to have traditions. So on to the topic at hand. We are talking about the open game license, which was released like over 20 years ago, with the release of 3rd edition Dungeons and Dragons, which was a watershed moment in tabletop RPG history. And in short, it was, I believe, spearheaded by Ryan Dancy, who was a Wizard of the Coast at the time, And the idea was to sort of like take the idea of like, open source software and apply it to tabletop games. But Ryan was trying to ensure Wizards or D&D's dominance at the tabletop market, because his idea is if all the third party publishers, all the minor publishers were making D&D content, people would buy the official D&D stuff, like the books, i.e. trying to basically their business model was selling as many player handbooks as possible.
What if different people paid our advertising fee to third party people to do the advertising for us?
Yes.
Yeah. A smart idea in the realm of capitalism.
Yeah. So the Open Game License 1.0 was basically... I am not a lawyer, preface that off, and there has been a lot.
What?
Yeah, I'm not a lawyer. My luxurious lifestyle is not supported by a legal.
I have been deceived. If you are a real lawyer listening to this, I have a case for you.
So the idea is that in an open game license, you can specify certain parts of your book, certain parts of your writing can be used by other people as long as they put it under the same license. And so like in D&D, it's like you can say, well, here's the stat block for an orc or a goblin. You can just copy that stat block and put it in your adventure about killing goblins and orcs or whatever, or this spell. And so like there's a practical use for it, in that if you want to write just fantasy adventures or fantasy settings or whatever, you can just like use D&D mechanics and get on with it. Now it is important to note that there's open game content, but you can also identify in your own license what is product identity. And product identity is content that is protected. It is not open, and you cannot use it without permission.
I can actually help on this.
Yeah.
Because I am a lawyer and I've passed the bar in every country on earth. And B, because while my legalese is rusty, I get yelled at this shit probably on a daily dealing with Delta Green content. So the fun of it is that you cannot in any way, shape, or form copyright a game mechanic.
Right.
And I'm sure you've heard this a million times. And it's true. Like the concept of hit points, we are not pairing Gary Gygax's estate every time someone uses the concept of hit points in a game, or else he would like be bigger than Bezos now off like every single gaming royalty on earth.
Right.
Not a thing that happens. Can't do it. What you can do is expressions, copyrights for expressions. So that is specific terms. And that is usually in legalese, specific terms spelled a specific way, which is why Chaosium will come at me with attack lawyers if I spell Bayaki the wrong way, or say it or print it anywhere near a printing press, because it can be copyright trolled in that regard.
Yeah.
So like what I find interesting in the 2 YouTube videos I watched on this subject in order to get my law degree that is universal and international, is that like the OGL is kind of unnecessary. In the first place. It's more permission than anything. Like it's more like a clearly defined line and open accountability statement about defining what we are going to call IP expression and what we are going to call mechanic, and where you can do that and how you can market and license these things. Because like in actuality, like if the OGL hadn't existed in 2000, most of the stuff that third-party publishers have been putting out for D&D, with the exception of like using certain terms they've given up, like a beholder monster and stuff like that.
Well, there's for certain D&D monsters, there are also trademarks. So beholders and mind flayers and a few other things. And those are product identity.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But like what permission, like gnolls, for instance, like or hyena men, as I call them. And I just want to be clear, that would be enough to never pay D&D a dime if I used pretty much everything from gnolls. If I used a different term, you're done.
Yeah.
Like
as long as you don't use the specific language.
Yes. And that's the thing. Like the OGL is sort of unnecessary. It's just permission and being very clear and upfront, which is good in any business situation. Which is amazing how they fucked up something this bad. On what is essentially a document that was fundamentally unnecessary beforehand.
Because back in the early days of RPGs, like Judges Guild was doing unlicensed D&D be compatible with the world's most popular role playing game is a common phrase. But like so yeah, you can, as if you use the OGL as a third party person, you can say this is the OGL content. This is the product identity that's still protected. For example, Base Raiders uses the OGL because I use that from the original version of Fate. Well, I use Strange Fate, which comes from Kerberos Club, which comes from the original version of Fate, which all use the OGL. And in that, I said the mechanics are OGL, the setting and everything else, the characters are all product identity. No one else can use those. But the mechanics, are OGL. So like what happened is in the early 2000s, everyone got on this bandwagon because with the OGL, you could say you're compatible with D&D. It was a marketing thing to say like, oh yeah, you have the player's handbook. You can grab all this third party stuff. Like White Wolf jumped in on that immediately with the Sword and Sorcery brand. Like they put out a monster manual, I think it was called the Creature Collection, before the official monster manual came out, and they made a killing on that. And so it created this, the D20 shovelware era. And
the glut,
and then that led to the bust, and then that led to starting the first indie RPGs, the new RPGs like the Forge,
that are registered as indie RPGs, and not a distant memory in James's mind or a playtest draft he touched one time in the fall of 1982.
James Wallace, yes, my co-host for Lono Narrative Dissonance, which you should,
aka the Rememberer, or whatever we want to call,
yes, the historian. That the OGL 1.0 has been around for 20 years, and not many games use it now, but obviously there's a ton of older stuff that uses it. In terms of open, there's now a lot.
There's also like entire competitors to D&D that use it now.
Well, they use different licenses now.
Yeah, they do now, but like they started off using it, and then there's and this is the part that like is the sad part. So we'll save the fun, the dessert for last. Going on the actual D&D tries to deal with this shit, because that's where the comedy lives. But right now it's the tragedy. It's first is tragedy, then is farce. Because like Cobalt Press, all these like fantastic third-party publishers who are supporting like an ecosystem of full-time designers, which is so rare in an industry so under monetized like this. Just having that shit kicked out from under them is like massive, like massive. Cause like the part, I think the initial leaked draft said something like if it's over 325,000 a year or something.
Well, there's different tiers.
There's like different tiers for like
under 50,000, between 50,000 and 750,000, and then over 750,000, I think.
But like, and it's like, well, we're just going after these big boys, right? And like what people don't understand is that as a big boy company, if you're pulling in like $300,000, $500,000 a year, and you have people working for you, and you're steadily putting out third party content, because in that area you have to publish not just a lot fast. Like it's like you are half of all things on DTRPG. Like you've got to be on there. That's why people are putting like D100 lists of earthenware jars you find in a dungeon, right? Like trying to keep their
those aren't the big boys though.
I know, but like trying to keep their bid up. Well, these aren't the big boys either. 300, 400,000. Like let's say you hire 3 people. I know you're not making $100,000 a year because you're not counting freelancing. Because like if there are those 3 people doing all of the art, all of the layout, and all of the writing, doubtful. That might be the 3 people you have editing, writing full time. That might be an in-house person you have, but you're still going out for like spot fills. You're still going out for layout. It's gone already. It's gone in payroll. Like, and you're not making a lot. You're clearing like 40, 50, meaning enough to have like a kid or maybe own a home if you like lucked into it. You're not Richie Rich. You're not Jeff Bezos. Like, and it's just saying that like anytime you go above this, 20% of your bottom line goes to me. Like, and not like and like
that would kill the margins would kill it.
Well, I think it's even not marginal at certain tier rates. It's just like everything. Like, and like, it's just kicking the floor out, which according to leaked documents from D&D, because there's not D&D WotC, because they're so bad at this, was the plan to start actively destroying competition.
So what happened is last month, December.
We should probably go through a timeline.
So there's third ed came out, fourth ed came out, and they tried something different called the GSL, the game system license, which everyone hated because it was more restrictive. And that's what led to Pathfinder becoming a thing. Like Paizo, everyone was like, oh no, we'll stay with it. Also, for fourth ed sold well, but like it did not catch on like third ed. And then fifth ed came out, and it was back to the OGL. And stranger things happened. It became this huge thing, and like there's this huge sphere of RPGs that's just fifth ed D&D. But then in December, people started leaking that that Wizards of the Coast was going around and we have the OGL 1.1. And it's going to have these new terms, and like there's these new margins. You have to pay us more. There's restrictions on what you can do. We also can use your content if it's published on the OGL without paying you for anything, among other things. It was just like this. And now this.
And to be clear, the leaked 1.1 draft is not a draft.
Yeah.
They claim that multiple times. And as a person who's gone to a lawyer for gaming contracts, for better licenses, Creative Commons, I will tell you that like it's not a draft when they have leave place here for signee and leave address, like, because that's the only thing missing from the 1.1. That's the contract. Like it's a form letter. That's how they work. You don't go to the lawyer for every individual contract you sign with people. You go for a boilerplate, and then there are the Mad Lib fill in the blanks of sucker here. And that's all that was released. Everything else was like fully cited according to law, according to the state in which WotC's housed. Like all that shit was full consultation, paid for, which meant they
were planning to put it out on January 4th, but obviously got leaked to the press. Lots of news stories about it, lots of negative press, obviously uproar from the fans, uproar from the publishers, especially because this was, like, as you were saying, going to kill their business model. Like,
and we've also gotten like tweets, which are unconfirmed, from people talking about like how the reason this is not a draft is because it was already in use, because they were approaching larger third-party publishers saying you only get the meeting about the future of D&D, i.e. the future of your business, if you sign an NDA sight unseen and don't go in without it. And then they were pitched on more exclusive, better claused out versions of this in exchange of better rates after the back end and the increase, and told like high pressure Andrew Tate, like cult sales tactics. Like, you sign today or you go figure it out. And this is free choice. And either way, once you entered the room, it doesn't matter what we said in here. You can't talk about it, or we sue you. And like, that is predatory AF. That is nightmarishly bad. And the only people breaking that are people saying like, well, they say it's allegedly a draft. So I'm going to say allegedly. If I was allegedly approached by an alleged WotC and allegedly told to sign an NDA, I imagine in that room, they would say something like this. And releasing all that. And so it's getting messed up on there. And then you have, now we're just into WotC's response, which has been yakety sax worthy, I will say, like, needs a on the background.
The silence has been deafening. They did release a statement eventually,
which is one of the most laughable PR whiffs.
We both won. The fans won, and we rolled a natural one.
We rolled a natural one. Like, oh man.
We'll put a link to the statement. You can read it for yourself.
Very thoughts and prayers. Like, we see you. We hear you. That's truly amazing. And then the additional last for that, the critical role non-response response. And the fact that
they put out a statement saying we support creators or something like that.
Well, they're already probably like 3 or 4 deep. On
contracts,
on like contracts that say they can't,
and non-disparage.
That they say can't say shit about WotC, which means there's that. But the other thing is, and I've heard this from somebody, at least it's hearsay from someone who does know somebody in the company, is like, if it comes out that like in that third party high sales approach, Critical Role signed on for like something that is not nearly this bad, which when you were backed with, I don't know, Jeff Bezos monies and the only lawyers that could consume Hasbro, like the Langoliers, like I imagine they got a pretty fucking sweetheart deal. And if they signed on knowingly before this shit broke, like, God, that could be like, this is bad now, but that is like, oh, the fire hit the ammo dump. dump. Like this got really fucking bad. Like, because like they are a load bearing pillar of a brand that is currently in free fall collapse. I think I read today that like, and again, all this is unconfirmed Twitter sources, that like D&D Beyond lost 40,000 subs.
Yeah.
Like yearly sub, like that is huge. I don't think I've had 40,000 Patreon subscribers, Kickstarter subscribers, Twitter subscribers, and Facebook friends in my life. And you lose, oh God, that's a lot of money.
It is. Yeah. And so we can speculate endlessly about what's happening there, but we just don't know. But like, it's obviously they are recalibrating what they want to do, but like their end goal is obviously like So recently, a couple months ago, someone at the company said, at the Hasbro, I think, said that D&D is being under monetized. And I think that's the genesis of all of this.
Yeah, that prefaces even the leak of 1.1.
Yeah. And so all of this seems to be that the executives at Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast are unhappy with D&D as it is now, which is D&D as it fifth ed exists now is like a quarterly release model for books. Like they release about 4 to 6 books every year, and
very traditional publishing, quarterly sales.
Yeah, they have D&D Beyond, which is their online thing with character sheets and stuff like that. And then they have merch, obviously tons of merch. There's a movie coming out this year. There's
maybe maybe there's a movie coming out.
It's already made, as far as I can tell. It's already in the can.
It might be in the trash can with Batgirl and other tax.
Yeah, that's true. That maybe the tax write-off's better than the box office receipts. Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Well, that's what I want to bring up here. Like you say, we don't know what's going on in there. I believe that's absolutely true. Yeah. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I also feel like I absolutely know what's going on in there because what's going on there is a broad spectrum collapse in late capitalism finance, and the algorithm is no longer supporting these business models. So Hasbro's stock is down before all this starts.
Yeah. Toy sales are down, which, and Magic the Gathering made a lot of stepped in a lot of landmines. They did a lot of short-term cash grabs of releasing overpriced collector's cards and shit like that. I'm not a Magic the Gathering follower, but even I heard about that. And they really damaged the value of Magic the Gathering as a brand.
Well, the thing is I don't want to focus on gaming because that's a bad thing that quote unquote the gamers do often. And they, but here's the thing, this is happening everywhere. Patreon tried to do it with their sneaky fee change and there was a massive blowback. But the problem was that they sold out to a bunch of VC assholes for short cash. And the VC asshole says, you got to start making money now. And then it almost crashed the fucking platform. And so they pulled back. And Kickstarter did it with the fucking crypto shit, but they never got rid of the crypto guy. The guy in charge of Kickstarter is still the CEO of NFT Land before he was the CEO of fucking Kickstarter. It's still an NFT bro, which means the Kickstarter pulled back because the NFT collapsed, not because of fan reaction. And that they're literally just waiting for crypto 3.0 or 4.0 or whatever we're on in the scam cycle.
The metaverse.
And what really blew my mind about all this shit of the numby has to go up, but saturation hasn't preached totality and wages have not risen since the 70s. So everyone is utilizing the maximum they possibly can on fucking disposable income. And you do an entertainment thing that has a community, right?
Yeah.
Every time this happens and the VC bros get in, it's just we'll burn it all down to show that we are monetizing it. And if it works, Numby went up. And if it doesn't work, Numby went down, which means next year, Numby will go up, and we can show that to our shareholders as long as we survive this heinous, nose burying trash of the fucking stock. And then it's wild to me that all this happens, and we're having this debate currently on Twitter that is doing this exact thing with its $8 fucking check marks and bring back the Nazis and all of the fucking advertisers running for the fucking hills. And we're doing this fucking debate over this shit on an example of it. And people are just man, I hope that all the gaming companies come together and make one new, better D&D. And I'm just like, well, where did you say that at? Mastodon, co-host, Twitter, Facebook. I could just rattle off a list. Like, you're having a conversation about the fragmentation of an online community on an example of a fragmented online community. And you still think you have some control over this. Like, no, this is sociological now. Like, and it was sociological at the start. They needed Numby to go up because that's all the algorithm allows.
Yeah.
And it's hell or high water. It's damn the torpedoes. I think many people knew this was stupid on the lower end. I think many people screamed about it. I think they were fired.
Yeah. There have been rumors that, like some of the rumors are that like Wizards of the Coast executives fire anyone who spoke up against it.
Just like Elon Musk did, like Kickstarter fired anyone who tried to unionize. Like, this is just a trend. The weirdness is that it's hit like a tabletop. It's hit an analog space. Yeah. But the problem is that the reason those guys are freaking out is because they see video game money. Yeah. They want video game money. The reason this is happening is because it's an analog space and a social activity. And I think Cory Doctorow said it best because he when the Twitter thing happened, he put up an essay by one of his friends that's called, that was about early fan fiction forums, like Web 1.0, that's called Everybody Stop Talking and Start Buying Things. Mm-hmm. Which is, you have these online communities or these physical communities of D&D that are subsidized by large corporations, WotC, Hasbro, in the hope that it has a marketing return. It is a loss leader towards selling a book or selling a subscription or selling a thing like that. Mm-hmm. And the problem is that humans don't need much beyond food and shelter. And once they're socially fulfilled, they want a lot less. Like, they want less things. They want less of your stuff. They have the game book already. They don't want a 30-second Storm Coast campaign. They can write their own thing because they got an idea from it. Like, they stop consuming, and that's not allowed. It's just not allowed by the product. And then it becomes, we got to cash in this check of this community. But the thing is, the people aren't there for you anymore. They're there for each other. And it always causes this to happen. Yeah. Well,
I mean, that's the thing is like Ryan Dancy, when he was making the OGL, is like, our business model is selling player handbooks. But and everything else is just marketing to get people to buy more handbooks. But now the business model has changed to subscriptions, D&D Beyond. Like, that's sort of the direction D&D was going with one D&D. That's going to be the big thing, the next quote unquote edition. And there's a rumor today that was like, everything's moving to this D&D Beyond. The highest subscription tier is going to be $30 a month. They're going to ban homebrew content at the lowest tiers. They're going to ban all, what they want is a captive player base where everyone's paying, $5 to $30 a month, preferably $30 a month. Right. And to play D&D just in this, they want to make D&D into a walled garden because they see the idea of the old paradigm of buying some books and then using those forever as a failure of business. Like, instead of, a book is a durable good, but if you put all your D&D content into this online service, then you could pull it back at any time. They have to keep paying to access it. It's a forever business thing. Like,
I mean, there's a calorie definition of sustainability. Mm-hmm. Like we coined the term as animals that need nutrients to live. Like, we didn't coin it based on economy. Sustainability is as much comes out as much comes in. And just, you got to think about capitalism, man. That is absolute failure. Yeah. If you spend as much money as you actually make, not what's on your accounting sheet, not what's on taxes, not the lies that like, oh, Amazon actually lost $20 billion this year. Money, please, to the government. That shit. Like, in actuality, if you sell as much as you make and no more, you are an absolute failure in business. And it's just once you realize that's the mindset, it's got to be more. It's got to be sustainable is dead. More like domination top. Once you realize that that's the only way the ratchet pulls. Yeah. Like, if it was just subscription models, if it was the same OGL, but all they put in was like, actually, you can't be a bigot. No more like horrible, jokey right wing troll content, and like they eliminated that part of the thing. I think they would have gained people making third party content, just by saying that, and they would still have a $30 a month subscription model. And like, if you went to my father, who started gaming in the 80s and told him, you got to pay $30 to pay D&D, Dad, he would get a gun. He would get a gun and tell you to get off his fucking property, because that is not normalized to him.
No.
But it would have been normalized to us, because we're the generation of fucking horse armor and like shit like this has been happening in video games for years. But even then, not enough.
Not enough.
Gotta go further. Gotta push beyond that. Because you know what? Everyone's doing the subscription thing now. You just accept that you're going to lose X amount of your monthly income to Netflix and Game Pass and this and that and the other. They had that in the bag. But if everyone has it, that's sustainable.
Yeah.
And that's death.
Yeah.
So what do we got to do more? Sell us your firstborn child. Like, we own your house now if you put an elf in something. Like, they can't fucking resist.
No.
And this is just an example of that happening over and over and over again. It's just come to the table.
Yeah. It's happening everywhere. Like I know in desktop publishing, like, you know, Adobe InDesign is a paradigm, and obviously Adobe moved to a subscription model years ago. But Affinity Publisher came out a couple years ago and was like, hey, look, you just pay us once and you have Affinity Publisher ever. But I think they recently say, hey, well, we have a subscription service now. It's just, irresistible to have this myth of explosive growth. Now, in terms of tabletop gaming, there has been a response, obviously, from all the third parties, notably, like, for example, Paizo.
But here's the thing: if they don't clear out the WotC like rot that decided this was a good idea, and considering that they were probably in with the Hasbro rot in the first place, I doubt that's happening. That's the thing; they are going to see explosive growth if they keep the lights on.
Yeah,
because like this year's going to be bad. But if people still like, well, I know the rules to this one. Yeah. And in 2024, some of them stick around compared to the year where they drove it into the fucking cliff. It's going to be like, wow, look, we're up 400%. And that's all they care about.
I mean, yeah, I mean, we talk about this, but there is a huge number of players who only engage with D&D and like maybe Critical Role, and that's it. And they don't pay attention to anything else, and like are some of them just absolutely adamant, like the idea of playing another game is an offensive idea to them. Like,
well, I mean,
I don't know how many of those people are in real life, but like, there's a lot of people who are just
we're
like,
not into like game theorying, like where this goes yet. And we might be like, that might be fun to do. I'm not sticking by any predictions, but one thing I will say I will never predict is like D&D goes away. There will be forever partisans. Yeah. Like if it becomes an absolute massacre, they will recede into the hills and wage guerrilla warfare on the rest of gaming. Yeah. They're not going anywhere, but
I don't know if there's enough of them.
But like, are there enough of them to keep you from like losing so much market?
I mean, the thing is also in the last couple of years, but there was this sort of like
especially when you're a toy company who doesn't need this publishing shit.
Yeah.
And they can just like chop this shit
actually
off.
No, I think right now it's kind of like the tail wags the dog. Like Wizards of the Coast is making more money for Hasbro than Hasbro.
Yeah, it's true. Kids don't use toys anymore. They use video games.
Yeah, the kids don't play board games and they don't use toys. Like toys are more for adults. The Hasbro is more like a brand thing now because they want things like the Barbie movie and the G.I. Joe movie, but like as
Battleship taught us, this will go well.
Yeah. Like in the last couple of years, there was this huge uptick in D&D's popularity and, you know, perceived coolness between Stranger Things and I think also Critical Role and the other celebrity, like, you know, voice actor sort of actual play streams has sort of endeared people, this segment of the community that has wrapped their identity around playing D&D and thinking everything in D&D tropes and memes and that kind of thing. And some of them I think can be lured away to, you know, a new sexy edition of Pathfinder or something like that. But like, I don't know. But Paizo, in a coalition with other publishers, is creating what they call the ORC, the open role playing license, something like that.
Paizo, Cobalt Press, MCDM,
I think Chaosium.
Oh God. Yeah.
Wow. No, new Chaosium is actually pretty competent. Like they've been
selling NFTs still.
No. Well, actually, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you that.
Heroes of consumer
sorry.
Justice, chaos.
I forgot about that. I think they've
well, I mean, I think that brings up a good point.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the plan.
Yeah.
Forget about this.
Yeah.
We made our statement. We're going to go lick our wounds.
Yeah.
You're going to forget about this until someone better than us makes it normalized. And then we'll be back. Yeah. Like that is their hope right now.
Well,
like,
you mean Wizards?
I think that's Wizards' hope right now.
Yeah. So Paizo is definitely not going to let this go. And the other publishers are not going to let this go. They've getting a lot of free publicity about this. They're going to make this like the whole thing about the OGL is like Wizards is trying to deauthorize the 1.0.
Yeah.
At least that's what the leak said, which means like things like base raiders and everything else would be revoked and like Wizards property, which Paizo is like, if that happens, if they do that, Paizo is 100% going to sue them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So there, and who knows how that'll play out in a court of law. But
and that could be horrific.
It could be horrific. It could be great. Who knows? Again, it's very.
But I think it's Delaware going to Chancery Court. I think it's going to be horrific.
No, I don't know. Like it's a pretty, I don't. Wizards has stepped on its foot enough times.
I know, but like when corporations that big, and I'm not even talking about Paizo, but like Hasbro kind of shit, when they go, they often go to Delaware where corporations live, and like that, those are the same motherfuckers who's like Alex Jones, give them $1 billion. Like they do not fuck around.
Yeah.
When it comes to like that is, and that's one thing if you're like Amazon. Like, okay,
I have no idea how it could go. Like I don't even pretend to like get take bets on what side would win.
I don't think everyone would lose.
Yeah.
Like that's why I say it's ugly. Like once you establish legal precedents at that level, like it doesn't matter whether like the good guys win in that. There's going to be so much law precedent established based on like the expression versus mechanic versus what counts as tabletop versus what of this. Like it's going to add a bunch of whole definitions to the fucking dictionary that you're using to define existing law with. It won't define new laws. It will change the interpretation of laws.
The frustrating thing for me though is that there's already perfectly usable license. Like the orc thing is just like publicity because there's a Creative Commons license. Like Evil Hat already has Creative Commons licenses that are perfect for open games.
Yeah,
that's what they do with all the new versions.
There's OGLs that aren't called OGL and have
Creative Commons.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even beyond Creative Commons. Like, Creative Commons is internationally recognized and things like that. Yeah. But like there are other game companies that have OGLs like that are like separately signed and things of that.
Yeah, nature. They don't have Wizard's name in it, so they can't do anything.
So you bring this up. How do you see this shaking out? Like, what are the possibilities? I think one possibility that's off the board is D&D goes away. I don't think
no. That's never been.
You might not like. It's going to be Wizards of the Coast again.
I think,
but
I think this is going to be like D&D has. I think there's going to be a new rule that every other edition D&D is just going to be badly received. Like 4th edition was like badly
received. Star Trek movies.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, like even numbers. 4th and 6th. So I think. Even before this happened, one D&D people were like, this is. I was not getting good vibes from the community based on what I was seeing. And so I think Wizards are going to wait some time and they're going to push the same stuff, but in a watered down kind of way. And they're just going to slow roll this. But like, and the reaction is going to be very muted. There's going to be no enthusiasm. There's going to be no excitement. There's not going to be hype for it. And so the hardcore D&D players are going to get it because they don't give a shit about any of this. They're all oblivious to this. All they pay attention to is what Wizards do and what their favorite streamer does. And, but they're going to lose like, 10 to 30% of the market from other people who are aware of this stuff. And they're going to go to the new Pathfinder and other games. And, so I think the new edition is already just going to be and Wizards is not going to make the numbers that they wanted. And but it's
I see gradations. Like if they shut the fuck up, I think the best thing for them and the most likely thing that would like work was they do the Elon Musk, like shut the fuck up, Elon. You're going to take Tesla. Now we're going to get charges. You can no longer talk. Like, and like, we're going to hope you forget, which is happening. Like Twitter sucks now. Like it's awful ads and worse people in your timeline, and he's adding new features all the time. But he's being less loud about it. He's screaming less, and it's old news because no one wants to talk about it anymore. And like that's honestly probably in my eyes the best case for WotC because there's at any given point the majority of people who take D&D have no idea what you're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think you're absolutely right about that. I think that's the 10 to 30%. Like the other side of it though is they keep talking and they keep doing those PR statements. Or it comes out that Critical Role signed on and signed off on all of this, which it doesn't matter what they say after that point. And like we're talking about this. I think I saw online there's been like 500 YouTube videos cut on this in the last week alone.
Oh, sure.
Like everyone's making ink off this shit. Like if they keep talking and they keep this media cycle going, like that's the only part where like I don't see an end to it. Now, will there'll still be a WotC, there'll still be in D&D.
Oh, sure.
Absolutely. But at that point, like I call that situation whale fall. Like there's going to be, but like the thing that happens in whale fall, I don't see like a new Paizo emerging. Like maybe Paizo takes share and now we're at true 50-50 because it was never that way.
Even in fourth ed. Yeah. Paizo
maybe that's like a worst case scenario for D&D. But like people just do not move unified anymore. It just doesn't fucking happen. Like, and then your bet, like the best bet of that, like you get an ecosystem of, well, we don't have to do D&D shit anymore. So like, let's get adventurous because everyone else is doing the same fantasy heartbreaker. And then we could get like some new games out of it. And I don't mean like new games that are indie and not D&D for the first time ever, because indie games have existed for fucking decades, you idiots. Play something else. But like maybe some bigger people with some more resources doing something that is a more indie space, more storytelling based, not hex grid combat, or if it is doing something new with it like Lancer or something like that. Like that's a lot of publishing resources to throw at a project that isn't fucking elves and hobbits. And that would be cool. I think worst case scenario, there's now 5 Pathfinders and a D&D, and Gen Con sucks. We will be besieged on all sides. We will have to like fortify ourselves in like what little indie booths we can afford as we are just like consumed by Fantasy Flight Malias.
I think the real question is like how much of the shit Wizards of the Coast is still going to try and push in. And I think the one thing is they are definitely pissed at Critical Role, or they're envious of Critical Role and Dimension 20 and these other big streamers. They want a cut of that pie. They want that. And I think there is going to be like some kind of move to like, you got to pay us now. There's going to be some sort of like extortion, like kind of I wouldn't say extortion, but like, you know what I mean? Like they're going to want to get all these big streamers to sign contracts with them and like give them a cut of that money, like the Twitch money and like everything.
I do think like at management of WotC, from what we've seen of the leaks and like the people who say they're on the inside and management opinion, like there is kind of a from hell's heart, I stab at thee towards the fans. Like I will get this fucking bread, which is odd because like, that would be the bad thing. That would keep it in a news cycle. Yeah. And like the smart thing to do if you're Hasbro then is just like, we've changed management. Thanks for your service, so-and-so. Yeah. And then we pivot and we try and forget about it. And then you just wait for horse armor to be cool again. And you try again, just like crypto and everything. That would be the smart money. Yeah. But like that said, if you're Hasbro, do you approve them doing this? If you're not already like 100 in?
Yeah.
Like that's the real question there. Like if you're Hasbro CEO, like how bad does it have to get before you cut bait on this CEO pushing this? And
I mean, they're in their own bubble. Like those exactly, because, you know, they made the statement late last year before all this happened about them being under monetized. What do they do next? They literally cancel a bunch of D&D video games that are in development. So like, they just like,
well, speaking of people doing this, HBO Max and the entire animation line. What if we use the tax write-off instead of letting people see the television shows we make? Like that is what I'm talking about. That is pure numby go up mindset. Like
vulture capitalism.
Just looting. Infinite growth in a finite world, and this is the logic of it. We have to start consuming our own TV shows like Saturn eats his young. Like that is what you get with an anti-sustainability mindset, and all these people are there. Like, they live there.
Well, I mean, that was in the 2010s. That was the dominant like theory was that you grow at all costs, and then once you control the market, like you can figure out a profitable business model. Like that's literally Uber, right? Like that's those fucking electric scooters that were everywhere. It's just the you can't just have a profitable business like D&D.
I can't wait for the Juicero of D&D.
I feel like we've had to have that, right?
Well, they're kind of trying it now. They're talking about they wanted to put out in Roll20 like AI DMing.
Oh, that's right.
Like, God, can you imagine something worse than Chat GPT runs your game? Oh, that is depressing. Yeah.
But they see anyone making money off anything D&D theme, and they're like, "Fuck you, that's us." That like we have to be everything. Like, I mean, I feel like they're it's incredibly short-sighted because like the idea of like D&D's value as a brand is getting as many casual people in there who will occasionally like there's a hardcore group of people who buy everything you do. And then there's like a larger pool of people who buy like one thing a year or whatever. But then there's a pool of people that's 100 times larger. They're like, I've played D&D. Oh, I'll buy that t-shirt. I'll buy that little toy. I'll buy this thing. I'll go see the movie, you know, because I like D&D vaguely. And like, I feel like by cutting off actual play streams or like, you know, like charging them so there's going to be fewer of them, right? And doing all these other short-term rooms, they're reducing the number of casual people who will like buy D&D merchandise. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I want to say is that when you have this conversation, it's easy to be like, well, the old D&D was the way to do it because like this is so fucking bad. But I want to be really clear as the person who wrote Red Markets, you know, capitalism bad and did in Creative Commons. I absolutely believe WotC was a shitty company doing shitty things to workers and being exploitative before that. Like OGL 1.0, not a fan of it. Thought there were better ways to organize things. Better than nothing. And I support all the third-party publishers getting their bag off that thing. Go for it, fellas and ladies. But like, I wasn't a fan of the company before this happened. But like, that's the thing to point out, I think, in the larger framework it is. It's not about a company that was good and got bad. It's about a bad actor that couldn't fucking resist. It's Andrew Tate, man. Like, it's like, oh, I have the Romanian mafia taxing things, and I've got this like harem of women I've kidnapped, and I live in this castle, and I have more money than God for doing nothing but sitting around sitting cigars. Well, I do need an 11th Bugatti. Maybe I'll be really loud and get those rape charges reinvestigated. Like they can't help themselves. Like they are too rapacious. They want more and more and more. And I know like the D&D thing isn't on the level of sexual assault, but like Andrew Tate didn't do those things because he enjoyed them. He's a violent, sadistic sociopath. He doesn't have enjoyment. He's a psychopath. He does things because he wants Numby to go up. And like, while it's expressed in a different, more visceral, horrible way, these people want Numby to go up. It has to. Like, there is no other option for them. And it comes to the point, like any psychopath, like there's no Hannibal Lecters. There's no Moriartys. If you don't feel human empathy, if you don't think about what your consequences do to human beings, and you fixate on something else, whether that's like, killing and murdering or harming people, or whether that's like being the best and getting your employee of the month card from Hasbro and getting a better stock option. The second you're fixating on that above everything else, like they don't have the self-control for it. Like capitalism doesn't have the self-control for it anymore. They can't lay back in the pocket. They can't get the mid-level grift. They can't do the John Goodman speech of like, you get a house with a 30-year roof. Oh yeah. You pay off your mortgage, and that's your movie, and that's your nut. That's your fuck you money. You know, like they can't do it. They cannot slow the roll. They need more. They go Scarface every time. Yeah. They gotta like lie down in a pile of cocaine and start firing grenade launchers at the door. They can't be satisfied, and I think that's just what's happening everywhere. I think WotC's just up.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I think it's a good way to end the discussion right now. So Wizards of the Coast, like Scarface.
Like CPA Scarface.
CPA Scarface. Yeah.
Some people have a bit more primal desires than others, but greed is greed.
Greed is greed. So when we come back, we'll have some shout outs. And we're back. I'll definitely have some epic D&D music for us as the segue music, because, you know, we love the epic fantasy stuff.
We're going on an adventure through copyright law.
Exactly. So I'm going to start off our shout outs with a movie. I think if you like horror, I think you'd like this. The Menu, starring let's see here, Ralph Fiennes, Anna Taylor-Joy, I think. And it's a foodie horror movie. It's about these very rich people who are paying like, $1,200 for a single meal. They have to take a boat to an island, and Ralph Fiennes
assholes.
So it's a critique of foodie culture and celebrity chefs and the food industry, restaurants.
I do want to see it, but the reason I didn't see it is just like, well, a bunch of people I want to see die are probably going to die. Yeah. Well, I'm done. I can just imagine.
So
I can imagine that now. Yeah.
The trailer made me think it was like a cannibal, most dangerous game kind of thing, right? Like they hunt down.
I think they were going for that. I picked that up too.
They don't.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah, and so like that's all I'll say about the plot. But like,
I'm on to the Malignant game now, man.
Yeah. It's very good. It's extremely funny. It's extremely like horrific at times because it is a horror movie, and it's worth watching. Ralph Fiennes in particular is amazing as this like sadistic, like dead inside celebrity chef. Is just, you could just see like 1,000-yard stare at all times. Like, it's great. And all the guests are great too in different ways. Like, there's a lot of awful people in the movie, and they're very entertaining to watch as bad things happen to them.
Yeah, chef as cult leader is a fun archetype.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
sort of like between this and The Bear.
Yeah,
And shit, like Joel McHale in The Bear is fucking awful. He's the grossest person on earth. Like, it's a good archetype to enter into the lexicon. I'm okay with it.
Yeah. No, it's a fun movie. It's a fun horror movie. Spencer actually recommended it to me, and yeah, I think you would like it too. So.
Spencer's the only person I know who's in danger of dying in a situation. That was a PSA for him.
Oh yeah. Don't go to an island for a meal. Like, don't go to an island. Like, especially if the boat leaves after it drops you
I
off.
think that's good in general for rich people. They're never up to any good on there.
Yeah, between this and glass,
people,
yeah,
worse things.
Glass onion, you know.
Yeah, glass onion. Yeah,
well, yeah, it's just a bad idea in general. So yeah, you recently read a book though.
So I just read Manhunt by Gretchen Felker Martin, and it is a fantastic zombie book. When as the guy who wrote Red Markets, zombies are so played out is maybe my least favorite take. Like, it's a meta commentary.
Look, it's okay. The Last of Us made them good.
Oh my god, yeah, like
video game stories. It saved video game.
Just
stories.
At this point, if you can't recognize the zombie as the modern myth structure it is, and like how prevalent it is, and the fact that it's prevalent everywhere is maybe not entirely the result of capitalism, but maybe because we are, as storytelling human beings, trying to find a vehicle with which to explain these things we find ineffable and confusing. Like, this is it. Like, it's so vital. It's so fresh. It's so unapologetic and intentionally brazen. It's very good. So the basic premise is that it's a zombie virus. It only affects testosterone.
Oh,
all men turn into horrible zombie monsters, and they are bad. Like, you think,
is this cross level bad?
It's close. Yeah. Okay, trigger warning for SA, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Our main characters are trans women.
Oh,
their job is to hunt infected men, butcher them for their testicles and upper kidney lobes, and then process that into estrogen. So the trans women do not revert, who are pre-op, into becoming zombies. And then there is also a trans man character who is like a sniper and like the ultimate man killer. But they are horribly messed up because, their girlfriend died in the thing. And they go through like bunker brats, like women who were filled out by their rich parents during the crash and have like armies of other women. But the main conflict of it is not with the men, their problem, but it's with the hunters dealing with a literal turf army, like a rad fem militia taking up the East Coast. And like, this is why I talk about the zombie virus thing, because like the men, as being these horrible monstrous things, are really just become a psychic mythic representation of the terrors of patriarchy. Because they are rapacious, eating, infectious monsters that go after anything.
Yeah.
But like, when you see the Radfem turf army, like, that's where you see the power of the zombie myth, because like they constantly describe the leader of it, and like you like going in to see the leader's office and seeing like dissected pictures of trans women and like arrows pointed to shit. And like, it's not radical. It's just what happens online. It's like the trans investigator psych, like, and these people are just obsessed with hunting them. And you're just like, they're just doing that now. Like, I actually don't know why that would fucking stop if there was a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
And like, one of the characters is a quote unquote chaser who works for the turf army, and is self-hatred, but like this horrible turf J.K. Rowling militia owner gave her love and shelter during a time when she was vulnerable. So she just swallows her self-hatred and goes along with it. And like, it's vital. It's about right now. It is unrelentingly horny and also unrelentingly horrific. So it mixes those things in ways that were hard for my little cishet man brain to get around, but I tried my best, and it was fantastic for it, and I really enjoy it, and I would highly recommend it to anybody who likes zombie stuff.
Damn, I guess I'll have to read it then. Yeah, that sounds great. I'd not heard of this novel. Did it just come out?
Yes, it was on a bunch of 2022 horror short lists.
Okay,
so I'm doing Red Market's
research,
volume 2, and so I'm like, I'll read some zombie stuff, and I really lucked out on the first one because it was very good.
Yeah, God, I do like this, like, I wouldn't say recent, but like, I don't know, maybe in the last 10 years, horror in general has just become like, we're going to put we're going to like have a message, a theme, and we're just going to fucking hammer, no subtlety, fuck you. Like I started first notice it with Get Out, but like, you know, everything, there's been so many movies and stories that have just like it's blatant, but it's really well done. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think that this sounds like one of those.
It's very well done. Like, as everything with the zombie narrative and like the way it sort of erases society, and it lets the author make a statement about like the most tenacious things in society, like the things that deserve to be kept around and the things that won't die, like zombies. Yeah. And the way it does that for the trans experience is fantastic. Because like a constant refrain in the book is how everyone's fucking insane. Yeah. And it's about like, because you went through the trauma of the apocalypse. Yeah. But all the trans people are just like, no, we had all pretty much been driven insane by having to deal with these horrible cis monsters before the world ended. Like, everyone had trauma. Everyone was just fucked up in like a unique, like self-defeating way that like still had to be overcome to create community, because otherwise you die. Like, these assholes will kill you. And it was just a really powerful metaphor for like a thing right now. That was also like an entertaining as shit, like, kill the zombie action book. No,
it's kind of like
Robbie the trans man is I would have him on my taker team any day of the fucking week. Okay, just pulling cards, stacking bodies, like hardcore action character. Nice. Shit.
Like Burke and I were kind of talking about like how in Night Clerk, how certain, global events broke the brains of a lot of people, like 9/11 and like COVID. And you're just like, and I'm just like, oh, wait, those people weren't already like broken by the world. Oh, they were they're people that sheltered out there. It's like, oh yeah. So it's kind of that kind of vibe. So cool. No, I really like it. So let's see here. Let's see here. I will mention something I watched on Netflix. Maddie and I watched recently, Kaleidoscope, which is a heist series starring I always blank on the name, the actor who played Gus on Breaking Bad, but it's got Esposito, yeah. And it is, what's interesting is the order of episodes, it's all chronological, like it from 25 years before the heist to the heist, and then to the after. Well, actually, the heist is always the last episode because it's semi-randomized. They say it's fully randomized, but like the last couple episodes are always in a certain order. But like the first 5 episodes are randomized and how you view them. And so you get to find out why the heist is set up, who these characters are that are on the heist, and what happens to them. And it's very interesting and very well done, and it's very stylish. It's kind of done like Ocean's 11, but like the theme is a lot different than Ocean's 11. So it's worth watching. It's only 8 episodes, so it's a interesting heist series. Very good if you're like trying to do like Blades in the Dark or some other sort of heist focused game. I kind of wish Payday 3 was out so they could do the inevitable DLC tie-in. But let's see here. You've been playing some video games too.
I guess I'll talk about Neon White, because in a lot of ways it's the opposite of Manhunt, because I hate the writing. I absolutely loathe it. It was written by a horny weeb 7th grader. It is absolutely terrible. and getting through the visual novel parts and the absurd story. Here's the thing. It's not like you watch like Jack Reacher or not even Jack Reacher. Jack Reacher's fun. You watch like Jack Ryan. There we go. You watch like that shitty procedurally generated Amazon stuff. And it's so like meh. It's so meh that like it doesn't feel bad. Like, because you never pay attention to it.
It's
you're just like,
slick.
who's that? It's another CIA guy. Okay, I'm fine. Yeah. Like, it doesn't really register with you. This shit's so bad, I have to pay attention. Like, I have to see every line. And then, like, it's voice acted by the guy who did the Toonami Spike Spiegel voiceover for Cowboy Bebop. So it kind of, like, recriminates me for my own weebness, because, like, it's the anime van voice you most associate with anime. And this is trash. You're trash. Like
this hole was made for you. Yeah.
And yet, as much as I fucking hate the writing, like the gameplay, I have never had a bigger disconnect between a game I would play for fucking ever and a game whose story I just want to stop. Please stop. Because it is a speedrunning game, but it is speedrunning in like 20 to 30 second. Like, and that's when you do the level slow. Like when you go slow and you want to get like a silver medal, like at most it's like 40-second levels.
Damn.
But it's all about, you don't want to go slow.
You want to go fast.
You want to go as fast as you possibly can. And it's got a very interesting, like, all of the cards are guns. So like there's a pistol card and there's a long gun card and there's a shotgun card, but they have discard abilities where you throw the gun away and it'll let you double jump, or it will let you do a dash, or it will let you do a 3-directional dash while you're on fire that goes through things, or it will let you stomp straight down and, like, you know, reduce your, you got these floaty, sticky edges, coyote time, free running shit. So it's like those like CSGO, like grind maps that like people do, but like I don't have to dedicate 800 hours of my life to feel like really accomplished. Or like deserve a summoning salt. I can just play a level during lunch.
Nice.
And it's utterly addictive in that regard. I can't turn
I did get it for Christmas. I do need to try it out. Because it's like you're like killing things for angels. It's like the afterlife. Or
my
FPS.
biggest suggestion is to skip the visual novel as fast as possible without reading the subtitles. Because once you read how cringy that dialogue is, you're not going to be able to stop reading it, and it's not going to stop being bad.
Oh no.
So I'm it's too late for me. Okay. I have to know how this plays out. And it's not going to be well.
Oh no.
But the game in between is fantastic.
All right. I'll keep that in mind. So my game playing time has been entirely taken up by long title, Warhammer 40,000 Chaos Gate Demon Hunters. There's 2 colons in there, I think.
We're getting into some fucking Kingdom Hearts shit. 2.1 sleep past memory. God.
So it is a XCOM turn-based knockoff where you command a chapter of the Grey Knights. The Grey Knights are the secret chapter of the Space Marines that fight demons secretly for the Inquisition. And you go around this sector, which is like, 12 or 20 planets, and you have to fight a massive plot by the cultists of Nurgle that want to create a plague that will span the entire galaxy and kill trillions. And so you have a spaceship starts out damaged. You have to repair it for like strategic upgrades, pick your guys, pick what weapons they use, and like pick their abilities as they level up. And basically, oh no, 3 planets all have missions at the same time. I can only have time to go to one and get these rewards. And that, I mean, the meat of the game is the turn-based, like each character has action points, you move them.
What class am I?
You're an interceptor, which is the rogue type. So you can teleport and do a lot of damage. So
I often think of myself as lithe, agile.
Yeah, for a Space Marine, you're very lithe. Yes. So you don't have much in the way of tanking or damage reduction or anything, but you can teleport to a dude and stab him repeatedly with a 6-foot sword.
I can do that.
Yeah.
So good pick.
Yeah. And you channel your psychic energy of the warp into your foes through your force sword.
Only when I'm high now. But,
yeah.
There's got to be some escapism.
Yeah. You can even do a teleport strike where you teleport through a bunch of enemies in a row. So
I can do that, but like it makes me like It makes me really stuffy in the morning.
Yeah.
So I typically avoid it. Yeah.
So if you're just an addict to these kind of games, I mean, I love XCOM. I've beaten that and XCOM 2 and the expansions. I've played through it multiple times.
With Macho Man Randy Savage mods.
Oh, yeah. Well, you play baseline first, and then you wait a year for the Steam Workshop community to really kick in, and then you add in all the mods so much that the game crashes half the time.
Yeah, you got to get above your tolerance.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how bad my tolerance is. As I'm willing, this game is. I have mixed feelings about it.
You're on some stepped on 40K street shit.
Yeah, exactly. It crashes. Well, it doesn't crash. Sometimes when I start the game up, it soft locks my computer, and I have to reboot.
Ross stole my catalytic converter to put this on the Steam page. Just FYI.
And the game is, even on standard difficulty, it can be punishingly hard if you don't figure out the game mechanics, which the game's tutorial's god awful. Like I had to look up and figure out, oh, this is the stuff.
Sounds like a 40K game.
Yeah, it is. It is not explained how you actually do enough damage to kill the bad guys towards the end of the game. And then there's just all these punishingly bad RNG events that can just end a run. So, I saved Scum. I reloaded a bunch of saves. Like, no, fuck that. I'm not doing that. That's garbage. Fuck you. Until I finally got the RNG for the strategic events. So if you like XCOM games and you're willing to tolerate a buggy game with some flawed mechanics, it does have some really interesting boss fights. It does have really interesting mechanics. Like there's a whole crit system where when you do melee or certain attacks, you have a chance of critting. And you can either cut off their limbs, so like they can't, that evil space marine can't shoot his gun if you cut his arm off, or if you stun lock them and then hit them with a melee attack, you can execute them, and everyone gets an action point for that. So you've executed many Death Guard Plague Space Marines. So good job there. So I liked it, and I'm about to beat it at the last mission where I have to fight.
Sometimes you don't want something good.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Something you got to pay attention to because it's like good and stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want mids.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You want a mid game.
Yeah. Something I can waste time on playing while I'm not really.
Yeah, I want to watch a movie while I kind of play this.
Exactly. Yeah. This is perfect for that, especially when it goes on sale. It's only like $27. But speaking of cheaper games, you've been playing another game too.
So Baz at Future Wolfington, almost close to 700 subs. So you should get over there if you haven't yet. He and I were playing Stallcraft, which is a Minecraft mod. Hear me out. A Minecraft mod meant to emulate Stalker. So it's basically an enormous, like, how big could you make Stalker if it had literally the most optimized rendering of any game system possible? And the answer is real fucking big.
Yeah.
They've added in realistic firearms, like realistic AKUs and shit, like all this bullet drop, all sorts of stupid shit you don't need in a Minecraft mod.
It's a standalone game, right? Free to play.
Yeah, it's a completely standalone free to play game, and the monsters look really creepy, and it's really huge. I will say it's very grindy. Like you got to go out and get
free to play.
Yeah, you got to go out and get 20 boar teeth before someone will give you like a rusty pea shooter. But like as a guy who made red markets, love me some Stalker, and like, yeah, that's fair. You don't get rich quick, and if you do, you died. But there's anomalies, there's monsters, there's other factions that shoot at you, and that's all fun. But it's too grindy, and I'm playing Neon White, and I don't care, so I haven't played it other than like a couple times. But what I will say is the soundtrack is like would listen to the Night Clerk episode about the soundtrack. Okay. Very good. It's not quite Soviet wave, which is just like if you're not into that side of things, that's like slowed down Boris Yeltsin singing at a political rally behind like an even more slowed down, bit crushed like 90s discotheque beat. That'd be more Soviet wave is like more nostalgic and stuff. It is almost all like Soviet post-punk and like shoegaze. Like if you do the white guy weird shoulder shuffle and that's all you can do for dancing, this will get your hips moving.
Hell yeah.
Barely, because you are white and doing the shoulder shuffle like me. But like, no, the Stallcraft playlist, it is very it's everyone sounds like they grew up in a hab block, and it's very good, and I like it a lot.
Nice.
So that is a game I have stopped playing and just listened to the soundtrack exclusively. So
cool. Oh yeah. Also, you mentioned Night Clerk. Yeah, we are going to be doing an episode with you on Night Clerk Radio, talking about the new Cryo Chamber Cthulhu Mythos album of 2022, Chathagway, and that'll be out soon, and I'll put links in social media. But just go to nightclerkradio.com and listen and subscribe. It's a good podcast about music and culture and fun things, like vaporwave, which is, the greatest music genre. I think we can all agree. No further discretion. This episode is over. Thank you again, Caleb. And how can people find you on the internets?
I am Hebanon GCal for as long as Twitter survives, and there's a link tree up there. So Linktree Hebanon GCal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And we'll talk to you all later. Yeah, please let us know what you think about the OGL situation. Probably by the time I post this episode, there's going to be another development in this controversy, but who can keep track of them all? They're just ongoing.
Just remember, we both won. Tell your friends.
Yeah, we did. All right. We'll talk to you all later. Bye. Hey, it's Russ Payton. I'm talking into a microphone. All right. Get those sweet dulcet tones. Caleb?
Oh, I should also do that.
Yes.
I am doing it currently.
Yeah. How you feeling about that?
Fair to middling.
Fair to middling? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice day.
Yeah, I'm kind of baseline right now.
Baseline? Okay.
Resting heart rate, not really riding the high of podcasting anymore. It's
okay.
Yeah, I'm just sort of, keeping the jitters away.
Oh, okay.
Keeping the podcast withdrawal away. It's not like your first hit,
Oh, this is the methadone of podcasting for you. Okay. All right. Thanks. All right. I'll take what I can get, I guess.